An end and a very thin inside edge is a big swing from Nathan Coulter-Nile. He's on his way for just 2, and Australia 299 for 7.
Yeah, Nathan Coulter-Nile will be disappointed with this because it was there to hit. It was just the perfect zone in the slot. Just leant back too much inside edge. There wasn't any real movement, seam movement, just the angle from over the wicket.
I mean, he might not get a chance to come in and pick up further wickets. You get the sense of he itching to come and try and mop up this innings now. 3 wickets already in the innings. He'd dearly love a few more, but at the moment Wahab is getting in on the action.
It's understandable. He's bowled 2, 1 remaining. Sarfraz is thinking, let Wahab Riaz bowl this over, and then I'm sure Mohammed Amir will come back and bowl the 49th, and it'll be Hassan Ali to finish off 1 over at the far end, and then you probably look at something like Shaheen Afridi or potentially Wahab Riaz to go back down the far end and probably finish with the last over. He's got a couple of options that he could use, Sarfraz Ahmed.
Yeah, Shaheen Afridi bowled his 10 overs earlier, 2 for 70. Wahab racing in. Pat Cummins is the new batsman, looking to defend on off stump. Fielded by Point, who's running in with some purpose to pick up, and does so cleanly. So 299 for 7, Carey on 18.
Yeah, and you look at it from Australia's perspective. They had a chance to bat Pakistan completely out of this game, and they should have got over 350. And on this wicket, you'd say that would have been game, set, and match. But I'm falling short of that. 325.
Yeah, it's not been the pummeling batting performance that you expected. As Wahab is in, that could have been another thin top edge that time. Cummins was looking to play late. A late cut shot, which he rehearses now. Third man is back on the fence, but he's wandering away towards square leg Cummins. He's having a little bit of a word with himself.
Yeah, and you just look at England when they batted first against Bangladesh. They just completely batted Bangladesh out of the game, 386, and Australia had the chance to do a similar thing here against Pakistan.
Here goes Wahab. Bowls to Cummins. There is a bounce from it. It knocks Cummins off his feet because he ducked out of it. He has managed to stay upright, but fast bowler to fast bowler. It's quite a contest to watch, which is entertaining for the crowd. Lots of smiles on faces. There's even a slight smile on Pat Cummins' face as he acknowledged Wahab. He's had the signal from the umpire. It was flying over his head. I say flying over his head, he was ducking underneath it quite substantially.
So much noise, don't they, the Pakistan supporters?
They've been vocal today. It's been fun. Clipped away off the legs behind the square leg umpire. Clean pick up in the deep, just a single. So this is better Pakistan. You feel like they're suddenly coming together as a team and clawing their way back in. It brings up the 300 for Australia in the 40 after 47 overs. They're 300 for 7. But yes, it could and perhaps should have been so much more after the big platform that was laid by Finch and Warner. No one else has managed to kick on. There's been a number of small starts. Michael, a few more thoughts from you. Jeff Lemon coming in.
Yeah, it can sometimes happen at grounds like Taunton where you get such a good start by playing just orthodox, strong cricket strokes, which is exactly what Warner and Finch did, and then you try and get the 400 and play 1 or 2 expansive strokes that probably you don't need to do on this kind of ground, on this kind of pitch, and you end up losing too many wickets. 3 overs remaining. Jeff Lemon. The Aussies just falling a little bit short of where they should have been.
They have just let it slip away, haven't they? Start of a new over. Hassan Ali bowling just outside the off stump. Cummins is able to get off strike quickly, just drop it into the offside, get through for a single and double his tally. He's got 2. Australia 301 for 7. Carey on strike is the only thing that matters really for them from now on. Just see what he can do. Made his highest score last start against India at the Oval, 55 not out. Looks good too. Yeah,
he does, doesn't he? I mean, he played great against India. Played some tremendous shots. You just feel he's just waiting for that slot delivery.
He's getting the ball around the wicket, the left-handed Carey. Full and slapped away, a bit of a hockey shot down towards long on. Just through for 1, 302 for 7. He's a real carver and slicer kind of player. Loves backward point, cover, get a bit of width and throw his hands through the ball. He's played some scything sort of innings for the Adelaide Strikers in the Big Bash. So
yeah, he looks like he's got a real good, strong mentality. Don't know him that well, but from what I hear, he's a Great guy to have around the team.
Very steady sort of personality. Hassan coming over the wicket to Cummins, trying to uppercut, and he might have edged behind. He's gone. Another wicket falls, and Australia continue to make a bit of a mess of this from where they could have been. They're 302 for 8 in the 48th over. A couple of overs to go. Pakistan could be thinking of bowling Australia out. Cummins caught behind for 2 from Hassan Ali. Andy?
That's Hassan Ali's first wicket of the tournament in his 24th over.
And that's exactly what Pakistan have to have the mindset about here. Jeff just bowled Australia out, reduced them to 305, 310. You go into the dressing room, having been looking at the Aussies at 190 for 2 after 30 overs. They can be in that dressing room, having restricted them for 305, 310. Fakhar Zaman, Al-Haq, good players. Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Hafiz, experience in the middle. Babar Azam, one of those gets 100. You just never ever know.
It doesn't look too bad for batting out there now that the day's warmed up a bit. Maybe the early moisture's out of the air a little.
The carry should encourage the Aussie quicks. They've gone with 4 and just Glenn Maxwell as the spinning option. Maxwell may be the key because if they can play well against the seamers, and all of a sudden you've got 10 overs of off spin on this tiny venue. They might be the 10 overs that Pakistan feel that they can really target.
Well, we've seen some big shots played against Mohammad Hafiz, who went for 60 from his 7 overs so far. Shoaib Malik 26 from 4, so runs against spin have happened. I've been feeling for Wahab Riaz all day, just the number of catches that have gone down from his bowling over the years. I think he's the most dropped bowler that I reckon I've seen playing international cricket. Stuart Broad's up there. But just in terms of the quality of support in the field, Hassan bowling to Mitchell Starc, getting a thick leading edge out to cover. No run. Broad's had catches like Stokes in the gully and a reasonable slip caught, and Alistair Cook did a job at first slip. The quality of Pakistan catching. Asif Ali's put down 2 simple ones today off Wahab.
The English slip cordon for a couple of years hasn't been that good.
Been a fair bit of rotation through there, hasn't there?
Roll up. Who fancies a go?
Hassan Ali bowling to Starc, up on his toes, trying to drop the ball away, just tip and run, but Hassan Ali sprints through in his follow through and hurls himself on the ball on the onside of the pitch.
And this is another dot. I think this is the frustration for all Pakistan supporters, that in the last 4 or 5 overs they've suddenly got the buzz and the energy and they've been active. The first 40 overs they were so bad.
The number of overthrows, the missed fielding, Shoaib Malik at mid-off, just letting the ball through his hands for 4. You crush a bowler's heart. It's hard work. Hassan Ali doing that work. Short ball, Starc tries to pull, misses completely. And the over comes to an end with 3 consecutive dots to follow the wicket. That's what wickets can do. 48 overs gone, 302 for 8 Australia. And his ultimate.
25 runs, 4 wickets in the last 6 overs.
So they've really dragged it back. Done a great job here, but yeah, you wonder if they could have taken their catches early. They might be looking at 270 instead of 310.
This is brilliant because, as I mentioned the previous over where Mohammad Amir had taken his sweater off and then the skipper goes, "What are you doing?" Wahab Riaz is bowling this over. Well, the opposite's just happened. Wahab Riaz has just walked up to the umpire with his sweater. The skipper's going, "No, it's Mohammad Amir's to bowl this one." That's brilliant.
Just keeping them on their toes.
Riaz will bowl the last one at the far end. Hassan Ali's bowled out 1 for 67 from his 10. Mohammad Amir, magnificent, 3 for 25.
Wahab Riaz taking a catch off Amir's bowling and saying, "See, that's how you do it. You can hang on to a few. Help out your fast bowlers." Amir, left arm, drops a bit short, miscued, pull shot on the bounce down to deep fine leg from Carey. Heart in his mouth a little as that came off the thick top edge. Carey goes to 20, Australia 303 for 8, and that was a slower ball. Just suckered him. A slower ball bouncer and mistimed the stroke.
Well, he's been varying his pace all day. Been swinging the ball, he's been seaming the ball, but it's been his pace variation. Very difficult for the batsman to pick up. He has no distinct change of action when he's bowling that slower ball. Mid-wicket coming into the circle.
Amir, slender of build, left arm, swinging it early. Now he's just angling in at the pads. Another single worked away down to deep fine leg. Starc just clipping that. neatly enough, 304 for 8.
Yeah, that one fielding change to Alex Carey. Deep square leg comes into the circle by the umpire. Mid-wicket goes back to cow corner on the boundary.
So 3 out on the onside. Deep mid-wicket, long on, deep backward square, but square leg up, as Michael Vaughan notes. 3 in the circle on the offside. Deep cover, third man. Army, a full toss, strikes him on the pad, and it's out. Leg before wicket. Carey's gone for 20. Armia picks up another 4 for 27. They've reviewed. Australia will go upstairs, but that looked pretty dead live.
Well, I'm right behind the arm of Mohammed Amir. Unless there's an inside edge, it looks out. It's like it's going to be thumping into leg stump. It's full.
Yeah,
just
fair delivery up front on, please.
Just an hint of in swing as well. Just whether it's a bit of reverse or just the angle.
It looked like Wahab was reversing it a little bit in the previous over, and he drew that inside edge.
Yeah.
Tail. It's hit him on the
like there's any bat in that, but can we just check
probably clipping leg stop.
Ultra edge, please?
Carey's seen the screen. He's on his way. No,
yeah, rock and roll, please. Just keep rock and roll.
Yeah, he's sort of fanned over the top of the ball as it's angled in towards middle and leg. It's left arm over the wicket, and it's just pitched. It's just bounced in front of him and then hit him on the back ankle.
Okay,
in front of
still just waiting for it now. Just waiting.
Seeing Gould that you can hear. They all tend to use the terminology rocking and rolling, don't they? They always say that.
Ultra edge has just come in now.
Become the accepted
roll that right through, roll it right through. It's missing the. Just rock and roll that for me, just to check to make sure we've got no spike here.
Still looking at the ultra
just
edge
keep
here.
Going through. It doesn't look as if we have.
Surely, when you can see daylight between bat and ball, you don't.
We're just waiting on ball tracking now.
An obvious one. Alex Carey, he's off.
He's off.
He's gone.
And Kane Richardson is standing by the boundary rope, leaning on his bat, trying not to look passive aggressive. I'd like to be supportive, but I'm afraid I don't believe you're going to be saved here. Now we're seeing the whole thing.
Right, Hawkeye's now ready.
Hawkeye's finally got ready. Brushed its teeth. Had a coffee. And we're seeing that
pitching in line, impact in line, and hitting the wickets. Let's go back on field to Rashera.
Well, this could be a psychological study in delayed gratification.
Yeah, you're on screen,
for a bowler.
mate. Let's give it out.
But Mohammed Amir is in the book for his 4 for 27 in.
Can he get 5 wickets? 4 for 27. Well, we've sat right behind every single delivery that Mohammed Amir has produced with the new ball in the middle of the innings, now at the end of the innings, and it's been a masterclass.
He's been tremendous. That first couple of overs of the day had everybody in the commentary box exclaiming at every delivery, just hooping. And it's so good to see him bowling well again. I think there were green shoots in that first match against the West Indies, even though they were smashed. He bowled beautifully. Took 3 for 26 or 27, I think, after a couple of very barren years. Mohammed Amir bowling to Kane Richardson, Australia's number 11, outside off, driven away through the covers. They'll take a single. Australia 305 for 9, Richardson off the mark. But if you look at that last couple of years, Mohammed Amir took 3 for in the Champions Trophy final in 2017, and then I think in about 15 matches over the next 2 years took about 5 wickets, averaged 90 odd, could not take a wicket in one-day cricket. Was left out of the side, left out of the squad. Brought back in at the last gasp, and now he's having a great World Cup.
Yeah, I just wonder if it was just to give him a bit of a kick up the backside, but Collingwood was still at 4.5s.
Amir to Mitchell Starc, left armour to left-hander, glanced away off the pads, might beat the dive to the rope. The dive stops the ball for once. Pakistan in the outfield have pulled off a save. Shaheen Shah Afridi, I think, down there, has got his long frame across. He's got the elbow guards on, and has managed to save the ball. The crowd's absolutely going wild. There's like the terraces at a football match for that dive and half save. So
I think he just surprised them. The fielded one.
2 runs for Starc. He's gone to 3. Australia 307 for 9. Last ball of Amir's spell. Can he get the 5 for? Ball in hand. Running away from us at the graveyard end. He bowls to Starc, who slogs him in the air, down the ground, and he's caught at long on. A 5-wicket haul for Mohammed Amir. He drops to his knees, lets his forehead kiss the turf here at the Taunton ground, and raises his eyes to the skies as his teammates swarm in to mob him. His spell comes to an end. 10 overs, 5 for 30. And a standing ovation for Muhammad Amir. Australia bowled out for 307, and what a way to do it.
Yeah, the slower ball. I think he times it okay. Mitchell Starc goes straight to the fielder on the edge. Shoaib Malik with a nice simple catch, but we've seen these kind of catches dropped by Pakistan. What a finish. You just go back to the Australia versus the West Indies game. It's almost like the reverse has happened here, where Pakistan were out of the contest after 30 overs. Australia at 70 for 5 against the West Indies, out of it, got a score. And you just wonder whether Pakistan can get in that dressing room and go, you know what, 20 overs ago we were out of this game. We've now given ourselves a chance of winning a World Cup game. Tremendous by Mohamed Amir. That is a DVD on how to bowl in one-day cricket. Skill, variation to left-handers, to right-handers, the right lengths, bouncer at the right time, slower ball at the right time. That has been a bowling masterclass.
And I think particularly not giving up. That first couple of overs where he bowled so well but couldn't take a wicket, and then it looked like Australia had got on top. He refused to give in. He came back and said, I'm just going to keep working away at my craft.
Yeah, and it must be difficult sometimes when you're bowling well, you know, the ball's travelling to all parts at the other end. You've probably got to think, well, I've got to go a little bit safer. I reckon he wanted to attack in those first few. They've managed to restrict Australia to 307 on this kind of ground, on this wicket. There's a bit there, but one of that top three gets in and gets 100. This is certainly chaseable.
It may sound like a hefty score, but they've really dragged it back. The opening partnership was 146 in 22 overs, so at that stage they could have been on for 360, 380, something enormous. Aaron Finch and David Warner combining. Finch was the first to go, caught by Hafiz from Amir, big slog that
Happiness seems to have returned to the fold. That was a cracking century.
82.
Thanks. Yeah, look, I think I left a few out there. Getting out with 70 balls to go was a bit disappointing.
We'll go to David Warner on the field.
Thought we got off to a great start, none for 140 odd, I think it was. But the second spell there from Mohamed Amir was fantastic, and credit to him, he ended up taking 5 wickets. But look, for us, we're going to come out here and bowl test match line and length and be very disciplined.
Yeah. How do you read the pitch?
Yeah, look, I think the pitch is good. You know, obviously in the middle there, someone was saying that there was a leak about a week ago, but that's out of our control. We've got to go out there now and put the balls in the right areas. We saw a pitch match just recently that they were a bit too full early and a bit too short early, so we've got to put it up there and allow them to try and drive.
Enough runs on the board, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think with that type of wicket, if you start well up front, take early wickets, it's going to be very difficult. But look, as we said, we've got to respect the opposition, got to bowl well.
Well played once again.
Thank you.
David Warner on the field talking to Ramiz Raja from our colleagues over at the TV broadcast. David Warner, of course, made 100 today. Finch had got out, then Smith Maxwell was the third to fall. He was pushed in at number 4 to boost the scoring rate. Did that for a while, 20 off 10 balls. He was bowled by Shaheen Afridi. Warner then holed out, caught by Imam Ul-Haq from Shaheen for 107. Usman Khawaja caught by Wahab Riaz from Amir for 18. Sean Marsh caught Shoaib Malik, bowled Amir for 23, and the Australians were just trying to slog away, really get some fast runs at the end. Alex Carey was left to bat with the tail. He was LBW Amir for 20. Nathan Coulter-Nile caught behind from Wahab Riaz for 2. Pat Cummins caught behind from Hassan Ali for 2. Mitchell Starc caught holing out down the ground by Shoaib Malik from Amir to be his 5th wicket. Starc was gone for 3, so Australia at 307, bowled out with an over to spare, 19 extras, 5 for 30 for Mohamed Amir, 2 for 70 for Shaheen Afridi, 1 for 67 Hassan Ali, Wahab Riaz 1 for 44 from 8 and was very unlucky with several catches dropped. Mohamed Hafiz 1 for 60 from 7, Shoaib Malik bowled 4 overs for 26. Time to hear a bit more from Michael Vaughan, and then I'll hand over to Simon Mann.
Yeah, what I like about Pakistan when you arrive to watch them or you're watching on TV, you're never quite sure which Pakistan are going to arrive. The Pakistan that we saw play so well against England just a week and a half ago, well, the other Pakistan arrived for around 38 overs, and after 38 overs they decided to go back to the Pakistan that we saw against England, which was a team full of skill and energy, and that's what they bring. They're a curious team that you're never quite sure how they're going to play. You feel that if you can get on top of them like Australia did early, you will get mistakes and you will get them, you know, arguing with each other. We saw plenty of that, but then all of a sudden they get on a roll and those last 10 overs have just given Pakistan a sniff of winning this game.
Right, give me a percentage then, Michael. I got the CricViz percentages here. How do you see it?
On this pitch?
Yeah, in terms of Australia, how many percent? Pakistan, how many percent?
I would have Australia at 70% to win this game.
And they go 60% and Pakistan 38%.
Yeah, I mean, the pitch, we've seen the last few overs, it's going through quite nicely. The bouncer was flying through to the keeper, which again will encourage the Australians, because the fact they'll be able to use that short ball and then pitch it up, and they might just be, in terms of getting that head back towards the ball, not in the position. We saw against the West Indies that they got roughed up by some quick bowling. Australia have got 4 quicks in their attack, so yeah, I'd still rather have the yellow and gold on this kind of pitch. But Pakistan are such a dangerous team. As Fakhar Zaman comes out and hits a few and gets into some kind of rhythm and confidence, it's chaseable, but I just have Australia as the favourites.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think they've got enough. Sometimes you're influenced by what happens at the back end of an innings, aren't you? Suddenly a team seems to get right back in the game. But 307 on the board. I'm sure Australia would have taken that when they were put in this morning.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to look at the fielding performance by Pakistan. If they'd have fielded well, would Australia have got anywhere near 307? You would say possibly not. So I do think 307 on this pitch in these conditions is probably just above par. And if Australia bowl anything like Dave Warner's just said in interview, they'll bowl test match lengths and test match lines. If they do so, it'll be tricky for Pakistan. If they come out and have an off day with the ball and they don't feel very well, Australia, and Pakistan just play the way that we know that they can, they'll be risky and they'll take on the shots, and if they have their hour or so of luck, there's a chance that this target could be chased down. But you'd feel that probably one of the top 4 desperately needs to get 100 for Pakistan.
Right, play will resume at, I make it 2:34.
Well, Australia's opening partnership was 100.
So that's the task ahead of Pakistan. We're going to focus on England for a while now. Congratulations to Moeen Ali as well. Moeen's wife Firuza has given birth to a baby girl, Hadia. Moeen will miss practice today and return tomorrow, and he will be available for selection on Friday. So England playing West Indies in Southampton on Friday, and England's head coach Trevor Bayliss has been speaking to Eleanor Oldroyd.
Well, Trevor Bayliss, welcome to the TMS podcast. First question, I suppose, is how is Jos Buttler?
Yeah, he's fine. He'll be here at practice today and taking, he'll be training fully. So
it's been a good recovery from the hip bruising?
Yeah, it was just some bad bruising, which I think he could have kept in that last game, but he wasn't too confident of sprinting after a catch. So we thought we'd take the not the easy option, but just be careful about preserving him for the rest of the tournament.
How much of a concern is it that you've got a key player like that, such a talisman really for this team, not completely fit? Would you have rested him if you were worried at all that he might not be, that it might aggravate the injury?
Oh yes, certainly. The tournament's a long one, so for a player, even if it is one of the best players in the team, to miss one game, that's not going to hurt us. Hopefully, that'd be hopefully over the last 3 or 4 years, what we've done is try to give a number of guys their opportunity and create a squad with depth. And hopefully, if we've done our job right, then if someone has to have a rest like that, well, then the replacement should be ready to go.
What do you make of the way the team bounced back in that game against Bangladesh after the defeat against Pakistan? Yeah,
it's something we've done very well over the last few years, and I think that's the sign of a good team. We've had some poor performances every now and then over the last few years, but when we have, we've certainly bounced back. In that next match every time. So I wasn't surprised that we did come back. I think the way we played was a lot more like normal, I suppose. First 2 games, I think there was certainly a little bit of nervousness around, I suppose, which is understandable being a World Cup, but I thought it was pretty much back to normal.
You know the West Indies pretty well, of course. You played them back in February, March, which was a pretty tightly contested series, 2-2. What did you learn from them from that?
That they've got a good team, and on their day they can hurt any team in the world. they've got batters that can hit the ball out of the ground and some fast bowlers that can take wickets. So they're a dangerous team, and we'll have to play well to beat them.
Are you surprised at how pace is actually becoming quite a big thing in this World Cup? That you've got obviously players like Shane Thomas playing for the West Indies, you've got Jofra Archer and Mark Wood playing for you.
Well, not really. I mean, everyone knows over the last few years, the scores from a batting point of view have been very high. Obviously, there's a number of teams doing their homework on, well, how can we first of all stop the flow of runs, and that's certainly a tactic, I suppose, to bowl a little shorter and cover those cross bat shots. But they're not the only team that can run in and bowl short. We've got a couple of guys as well that can make their batters jump around a bit.
I was reading that Mark Wood says that Jofra Archer is actually pushing him on to get a little bit quicker himself. Is that a kind of nice little rivalry between the two of them?
Well, not really. I'd much prefer if they were spurring each other on to take more wickets. That'd probably be more to the point. If that leads to more wickets, well, then that's what we're after.
Mark Wood, of course, actually had a good time, didn't he, in the West Indies? He took some wickets in that series earlier in the year. Does that encourage you going into this game? Yeah, certainly.
He took wickets, but he also made their batters jump around a little bit as well. So, it could be an interesting game, and hopefully the weather stays away and we can get a full game in.
How is the squad as a whole, not just the team, but the squad as a whole, enjoying having a home World Cup? Do you think it's a good thing? Is it nice for them to be able to be in familiar surroundings and go home and so on?
Look, it's got its advantages. It's got its disadvantages as well. But I think the guys enjoy playing in front of the home fans, as I'm sure every other team when they play at home. It's great for the fans. It's great for the fans around the world to get their opportunity to go and watch a World Cup. With the best teams playing against each other. So look, I'm quite sure they are enjoying it.
And what about the players who haven't had their chance yet? People like James Vincent and Liam Dawson. How are you, and Tom Curran? How are you getting them involved and keeping them as much part of the squad as you can?
Yeah, well, I mean, they obviously understand that someone's got to miss out. They take a full participation in practice. We've given them as many games as we possibly can in the lead up. We're not the only team in that scenario. So if and when they get their opportunity, they're all confident enough guys that I'm sure they'll do well.
Final thought: have you watched any other games?
No, I've seen the results, but just bits and pieces here and there.
Not a cricket watcher.
Not unless we're involved. I watch enough cricket, so I don't want to spend my days off watching other games of cricket. It's sometimes on in the background. As I said, I obviously keep an eye on the results, but to sit down all day and watch another match when I don't really need to, I'll leave that to others.
What have you been doing instead?
Not a real lot, to be honest. I flew up to Glasgow to a friend's funeral in the last couple of days, but caught up with some old friends up there that I played league cricket up in Glasgow in 1989 and 90, so caught up with a few old friends, which was nice. Not under the best circumstances, but it was still good to get up that way.
Absolutely. Trevor, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
No problems. Thank you very much.
That's England head coach Trevor Bayliss talking to Eleanor Oldroyd, Michael Vaughan and Vic Marks alongside me. Trevor there saying West Indies are a good team with dangerous players. I mean, he's seen a bit of them in the Caribbean, a lot of them in the Caribbean recently. I don't think anyone can argue with that. They've got the players to hurt England.
Yeah, they have, and if the pitch is similar to the one that India played South Africa on, there was a little bit of spice in the wicket, there was a little bit of movement, a bit of bounce. With the West Indies, that they're going to come hard at you, with the bat and the ball. Very, very dangerous, very, very powerful. But I do think England should have enough skill. I think you can out-skill the West Indies. They've got, obviously, Shane Thomas at the top, Andre Russell, that you pretty much know the way that they're going to bowl now, so it shouldn't surprise England that the short stuff will be coming. So you would feel that over the course of the next 2 days, the batsmen will be practicing those short balls, or they should be. With the ball in hand, it's more which way England go. Do they go back to 2 spinners? I would, against the West Indies team. I think the boundary sizes at the Hampshire Bowl will suit.
And would one of those spinners be Moeen Ali? His wife's just given birth.
Yes,
He's been didn't play in the last game. Is Liam Dawson potentially playing on his home ground?
No, Moeen Ali will come straight back in for me. And the boundary sizes help you at the Hampshire Bowl. If you're playing at Taunton, you know that as a spinner you don't have much chance. And I was very interested to hear that Trevor Bayliss doesn't watch. I find that quite revealing. And whether he's just trying to portray this image that it's not that important to be really studying the World Cup all the time, that might be just a message that he's sending to us. I'd be amazed if he's not got half an eye on some of the other games. I like the fact that he said, I'll leave that to other people. So he's obviously got quite a strong staff that do all the work in terms of watching and researching and analysing the opposition. But I think that's just Trevor Bayliss. He's very relaxed. I think he's so important for the team's ethic around this World Cup, because I think we all felt that England in the first 3 games, even before Bangladesh, you felt it was edgy, you felt it was a little bit nervy, and having someone like Trevor around must be fantastic, because he is just ultra cool, very calm, very relaxed. I think he's a very, very important cog in this England wheel. You
can just imagine someone asking that Gareth Southgate that, the Football World Cup. Gareth, did you watch Brazil against Argentina the other day? No, I can't be bothered. So other people.
Someone else do that.
Well, you've got all these analysts. You've got to let them, give them freedom, don't you? I mean, he's not Arsene Wenger. I imagine he watches quite a bit of football when he's off. But he will. I mean, I'm sure the analysts will be working, and they will want to know what Russell and Toad Russell and Thomas, because that's going to be a key challenge. That England have got to be cool when they get. We anticipate quite a lot of short balls, unless it's a pitch like this where actually. David Warner, quite right, you bowl test match length here because you get people out. But if it's truer, as it has been, and you get these short balls coming, you've got to show a lot of skill, which ones to take on, which ones to let go. And that'll be a little test that England have got to pass, because some of the other sides have struggled with that so far in this tournament.
Not many teams have beaten England twice in a one-day series since the last World Cup. West Indies managed it in the Caribbean. They won a game in Barbados, and they won a game in St Lucia actually by bouncing England out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if they do go back to the 2 spin options, which of the seamers misses out. I just wonder if they might throw Wood and Jofra Archer to go together with the new ball together, and go really quick back at the West Indies, and someone like Chris Woakes may miss out.
I think there's a fair chance to do that. It's sort of, they aren't doing a rota system, but it's Woakes' time to miss out in a way. He hasn't looked that potent with the new ball. He's usually taken it. He's batted quite nicely and he's caught brilliantly, but I think if you go from the last game, Wood and Archer were more of a threat. And they are, it's not a question necessarily of fire with fire, but if they want to go short, you're happier with Wood and Archer doing that than Chris Woakes, who hasn't got that extra bit of pace.
Yeah, particularly to someone like Chris Gale, the universe boss. He just feeds on anything 80 miles an hour of length. You might get him early, with one that just moves a bit, but if he survives 2 or 3 overs and lines you up at that pace, there's a chance that he could cause a lot of damage. So I just wonder if they'll go, right, you've talked about the quick stuff, well, we can match you with a couple of our own, and we're going to hit you hard, and possibly England will go short as well.
It's all a question of adapting too. I mean, you never quite know what a pitch is going to do, and you've got to use your eyes. So, again, using this as an example, you might have a plan to bounce it, but then you see what happens, and you realise that's not the length to bowl in these particular conditions, not with a new ball anyway. And England, one hopes, will be adaptable. West Indies will have to do the same, because they've had success banging that ball in and getting people out, top edge hooking and all sorts.
He did mention Joss Butler as well. I mean, as much as you wouldn't be overly scared of him missing a game, this game's big. England have won 2 games against Bangladesh and South Africa. South Africa, we've seen probably the You get a top edge at the Hampshire Bowl, chance you're going to get caught down at fine leg.
Because the West Indies, more than England, have used the short ball as a mode of attack and getting wickets. And as Michael's saying, it's got to be a good hit to hook that ball for 6 at Hampshire, especially square. I mean, you might get one top edge over the keeper, perhaps, but so I think that actually suits West Indies, even though it might restrict the number of 6s Gale could hit. I think,
but you could argue, Victor, that the West Indies, England have got power, but the West Indies, you would say, probably got more power, and they could hit the ball even further. So the boundary size for the West Indies, it doesn't really matter because they've got enough strength and power. England have got, players that can climb into it and big 6s, but West Indies from number 1 down to number 8, the monsters, the biggest side, and they hit the biggest ball.
There is this critical thing for captains, wicketkeeper and bowlers to establish what is the best length. It might not necessarily. If it's been dank there, you've got overcut. The bouncer may be certainly the second or third option rather than the first one, the short ball. It might be that length bowling is what you need. You've got to be so alert in those early overs to see what's happening.
And it might be that, England, I know Trevor Bayliss hasn't been watching, but if his analysts have been watching the way that the Australians faced the West Indies, by going at them early, allowed them to get early wickets. Maybe it is a case of, all right, just play a bit of the test match style, just for 4 or 5 overs. They did that against Bangladesh. They got in the contest. They were only 15 after 5 overs. Get in the contest, and then with the West Indies side, as was proven the case when Nathan Coulter-Nile came in at number 8, that they can get a bit ratty, they can get a bit inconsistent, the ball can travel to all parts. But it was by the foundation that Steve Smith had created by just playing normal cricket. Alex Carey came in and played normal cricket. And that's what I'd be looking to do against the West. If you go hard early at them, there's a chance you might lose 2 or 3 quick ones. And I think that's the way the West Indies get into the contest. If you can just hold them at bay for a while, for 10 or 15 overs, then you'll catch up plenty. You really will, because there's nothing, apart from pace, I don't see many of their attack that will bowl with the skill that we've seen Mohammed Amir's just delivered. They don't have a mystery spinner that can spin it either way. They're an attack that if you can see off a couple of overs and get used to it, I think you can really hit them hard. But they can get you if you go too soon at them, as was the case with Australia. It was a magnificent innings, but you wouldn't want to rely on your number 8 coming in and getting your 92 to get to a decent score.
30 for no wicket off 10 would be terrific. From an
old school Victor.
Well, no, I'm not. But it applies in this World Cup. If you're playing Australia, Cummins and Stark with a new ball, and you get to 35, because you can make it up in a way you never used to be able to do. So if you can get to 30 for no wicket against Cummins and Stark, having used up 9 or 10 of their overs, you're in clover. Because there's quite a few attacks are a bit unbalanced, especially Australians, I think, actually. That Cummins and Stark, excellent if they're on sole, but the support is not in the same category, and you can sort of target those guys.
30-35 for naught, or 50 for potentially 3. I know what I'd go for.
Yeah. So on the sort of danger scale for England, what sort of percentage would you put on this game? 100% being maximum danger.
I reckon it's a 75% danger game. If the West Indies have a day out, which you look at the way that they played against Pakistan, they've blown away a Pakistan side that beat England. So you just never know with the West Indies. They're well led, brilliant captain in Jason Holder, some wonderful young talent, Shemron Hetmeyer. Shea Hope to me looks the best young player around. What West Indies do, they'll win the toss and bowl. They always want to chase. And you feel with that power that they can chase anything, like we saw in the Caribbean before England came back for the English summer. They're a very, very dangerous team. So 75% would be my ratio.
Are you going higher or lower?
Well, I don't quite understand the
question.
What I think I'd still have England as favourites to win. So you can work out the percentage. I'd have England.
My point is how dangerous do you think
England
the West Indies are?
6 or 7 times out of 10.
Right.
So that's 3 out of 4, really. So 75%.
Is that what you're saying? I don't know. I haven't understood this maths.
Well, that's your fact. 6 or 7 out of 10. So you're looking at about 65%.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of the matches that England lost to West Indies in the Caribbean. Once they were bounced out in St Lucia, they barely made 100, and then the other occasion they were chasing 290 and didn't quite get there. They made about 260. I remember speaking to Jason Holder quite a lot during that series, and at the end of it saying, how do you feel you're going to go in the World Cup? He said, we're going there to win it. I mean, I know all captains would say that, but the way he said it was there was a real conviction there as well.
They're the T20 World Cup holders.
So they are, but they also had to qualify to get in this tournament.
I think that was the sort of
that was what you were aiming at.
The reason for my question is that they had to qualify. They only just got there. Actually, but for one poor umpiring decision, they probably wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, but they qualified, and also it was on the back of that T20 World Cup that kind of spruced them into life. No one expected them to go to India and win that. We didn't give them a hope at the start of the tournament. Then they started to get a bit of rhythm.
How important is Russell to them?
He's massive, and the one thing I'd say about the West Indies from what I've seen is, I just look that they look to be picking up a lot of niggles.
Yeah.
And can they withstand such a long tournament, 50 overs in the field on, every 3 or 4 days? Sometimes I think they play to it. I think Dre Russ is one of these that plays to the cameras and he limps around and he might just throw the opposition into a false sense of security, and then all of a sudden he's back bowling going, how's that happened? He couldn't walk a minute ago. A bit like the Gordon Greenwich days. I think this West Indies team, I think they know how to play the kind of arena. You look at Chris Gale, wherever he's going, he's getting applauded, he's cheered, and he's diving just a simple stop and he's getting cheered and he's waving at the crowd. I think they're playing this tournament very, very well in terms of the PR and everything around them. They look like the team to watch, and you're going to have to be on the Friday.
The other thing is that they look like they're having fun.
Yes,
and they're enjoying.
And we're having fun watching them. I think they are. I think they are the team to watch in this World Cup. Right, the players are out there after the interval. Pakistan need 308 to win. It's going to be challenging on this pitch, but they have dragged themselves back into this match with Mohammad Amir taking 5 for 30. And to take you through the first 20 minutes or so of Pakistan's innings, it will be Dan Norcross via a thought from Victor.
Well, it's practically sun cream territory out there. Actually, I don't think anyone's taken their wind cheaters off. But it's a lovely afternoon at Taunton. The game is there to be won. I'd have Australia as the favourites.
Oh, surely.
But Pakistan have given themselves a chance by an excellent last 10 or 12 overs.
I dare say you've probably mentioned this, but
if it's obvious, we have. Yeah.
If Mohammad Amir, yes, therefore it probably you have. Yes. Yeah. Mohammad Amir takes 5 for 30. What might Stark and Cummins do? I mean, he did bowl very well, but it can't really detract from the atrocity that was Shaheen Afridi's opening spell and some of the poor fielding. The pitch seemed to have something in it to me.
He did, although oddly he took his first 3 wickets from the face of the bat, caught in front of the wicket, and then he picked up the tail. He did beat the bat though, time and time again, with the new ball without getting the conventional edge. I mean, this is a danger period, clearly, for Cummins and Stark, arguably one of the best opening pairs in the tournament.
Cummins start. Right arm over the wicket, 2 slips are in. His first ball is defended nice. It's a no ball.
Oh, free hit. That's a good way to
marvellous. Imam ul Haq.
I tell you what, it's just come to me.
Yes?
I'd love to have seen Boyks playing in the era of a free hit. Because he'd have to make you'd have to make an adjustment. It would have been not in his natural manner of doing things.
But he would have seen
to have a Gert big slog.
But he would have liked the free runs.
Oh yeah. I'm sure he'd have gone for it.
He loves runs.
Yeah. He'd have probably played some brilliant shots, and it would have transformed him as a player.
Tight call, that no ball. Looking at that, our scorer Andy Zoltzman has made it back. Not in time for the no ball, but he has made it back.
What was lunch? Was it good?
It was lovely. Chicken jalfrezi, onion bhajis, a lovely lime pickle. Here is Cummins, the free hit. What will Imam ul Haq do? He'll have a big slog at it, a huge heave, miss it, and it will fly through to the keeper. That's the one above the shoulder height. It was a short ball. It flew through at pace.
I need to know these things. So, sorry, this is housekeeping that shouldn't be on air.
Sorry, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Where are they giving us lunch?
Where'd you get the
in the indoor school?
In the indoor school,
Okay, that's the key thing.
Right. Now everybody knows.
Well, no. You've got to have a ticket. You can't all wander in there.
No, you have to get a very special ticket that's handed out by our producer.
Yeah. I've already seen 3 Vic Marks impersonators queuing up for lunch. I might tick off the list.
Cummins starts in again. 1 without loss with that no ball. Second legitimate delivery coming up, and Imam, plays inside the line of a ball that goes across his bows and rises into the gloves of Carey. He's got real pace on him as Cummins. This is going to be a very awkward period, you imagine, for Pakistan?
It is. The only thing that is helping Pakistan is that if the target was 350, they would have to go hell for leather, you think, in the first 10 overs. By restricting it to around about 300, it's still a big, big total. They have got the luxury of just being trying to just get through this initial new ball phase against the big Australian pacers.
Third slip's gone in. A third slip as Imam-ul-Haq defends a full ball on his pads, plays it back up the wicket to the keeper, to the bowler. Cummins, and there is, once again, no run. The crowd is mostly having lunch at the moment, from what I can tell. Yep. Well, I saw lots of them in the concourse. Lunch was made rather comical or oddly frustrating, depending on how you think about it, because the band decided that they would rehearse inside the indoor school. Cummins in again, down the leg side, clipped away on the bounce to long leg. It was in the air for quite some time. That's the first run off the bat for Imam-ul-Haq. And the score is 2 without loss. That's better. I think I've located the...
I've never dare twiddle a knob here.
I don't normally, but I've done it now.
What have you done? I've put up the FX.
I've put up the FX. I've just pressed this little slider. And suddenly
Can I have a go?
better. Do you want to have a go?
Well, should we just...
Take it down. Now you see, now we need in silence, and now we're back up.
God.
That...
I've never done that in 30 years.
Comes in, and Fakar lets that go through to the keeper. It was shortish, went about waist height past.
Fine, they'd
40
take
for 1.
They'd take that, especially if you've got 4 or 5 overs each of Cummins and Stark out the way.
Yeah.
They would take that. Well, I'd take that.
There's no Stoinis and there's no Zampa, don't forget. Sean Marsh came in for Stoinis, so that's 1 bowler down, and Richardson in for the leg spinner. Cummins, bowls a beauty that turns Fakar Zaman right round, both feet pointing down the ground, and it flew through to the keeper again. End of a fine hostile over from Cummins. Just a 2 from it. The no ball off the first ball.
Remember, he's lethal in the last tournament. Big, tall man. He'll bowl full.
Of Imam's bat, quite alarmingly. There is movement in this pitch. There has been all day. It just wasn't really exploited by most of the Pakistan bowlers. The notable and honourable exception of Mohammed Amir.
Yeah.
Did he play
and
at
Wahab
that?
Riaz bowled pretty well, I think.
Yep.
I don't know whether... we'll give him the benefit, but it's going to be tricky early on, I think.
Well, it's looked tricky. Here is Stark, running in towards us, left arm over the wicket, and that's worked away off the meat of the bat, off the pads to short square leg, where it's picked up by Nathan Coulter-Nile. There is no run. The lights are on unnecessarily now for the first time. There's an unfamiliar sensation in the air, and it's that of a gleaming fiery ball at the centre of our solar system that's shedding glorious light on Taunton. I'm actually squinting. Since I've been living in sepulchral grey for the last week or so, this is a bit of a shock. I'm peering through the light as opposed to through the gloom. Here's Stark again, and Imam lets this go through. It's a considerable movement away from the batsman into the gloves of care.
bowls, and this one he plays it out quietly, Imam ul Haq onto the onside. Finch fields and there's no run. In fact, Steve
nestles comfortably in the hands of Aaron Finch, the captain at mid-on, and there's no run again. We've had 10 balls and 1 run off the bat.
Well, David Warner, I caught him sort of in the mid-innings interview, and he actually, very concisely said, "You got to bowl test match length here to start with, test match length. No need to go with bouncers or."
Here Stark's a very quiet crowd at the moment. Stark is in, and that's all. Go through, got an edge through to the keeper. They believe it's out. No, says the umpire.
Stark's not bothered.
Stark's not bothered. Carey was convinced, Slips were convinced. There was a bit of a noise of something.
It's a good ball.
But Imam survives. He was beaten a couple of times in that over, but he's still there. 2 without loss, Pakistan. We've had 2 overs. We thought it was going to be hard work for the openers, and it is proving so to be. It's hard work also for the Pakistan fans who have not returned to their seats.
Not
in any numbers.
They like a bit of lunch, I think. Why not? I'm thinking about that too, actually.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
it's very charming. There's a salad bar and all sorts.
Manner of
we get well treated in Taunton. We really do. You think I'm angling for something?
Well, it's so lovely for us folks in the West Country to have you come down.
He would have seen
to have a great big slog.
But he would have liked 3
runs.
slips. Whoa, that's been slashed down, hit high in the air, down to third man and taken. Oh, Fakazaman has got to go.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's short outside the off stump. He's gone after, and he's got a thick top edge. And third man made no mistake. We saw a catch drop down there earlier by Asif Ali, but on this occasion it was safely pouched. Pakistan have lost their first wicket. They're 2 for 1. Fakazaman goes without scoring, and that was precisely what Rick Mark suggested. Probably was not the right scorer. Andy Zoltzman has made it back, not in time.
Yeah, well, third man, it used to be a lovely place to sort of graze peacefully. But what with the bigger bats and extra pace, catches come there all the time. You can't relax there. And that actually was a straightforward one. He went at it. It was a little bit wide. He got a top edge as he flailed, and it sailed straight down third man's gullet. Didn't really have to move.
Not a perfect shot, not an ideal shot. There was a bit of wit, I suppose, encouraged him.
Yeah, and if he got more bat on it, it would have gone squarer and he'd have been okay. But it was an little bit of extra bounce, and away it went straight down to third man. So that's a straightforward first wicket for Cummins, probably from the worst ball he's bowled, actually.
Yeah. Did he bowl maybe slightly wider than crease?
Maybe, I don't know. You're giving.
I'm trying to find a reason.
Well,
the reason was that
batsman error
was going to go after it, whatever. And we sort of did know that. I mean, if Imam ul Haq can play in a couple of different ways, so Fakazaman you tend to see playing in the one way. And given that he was the name that I pulled out of the sweepstake, the TMS podcast sweepstake.
What, as top scorer?
As top scorer, yes. It wasn't. I mean, it was by choice because I put my hand into a hat and an envelope and took it out. But it wasn't the choice I would have made had it been a free choice.
Who would you have made then? Who would you gone for? David Warner, no doubt.
No, I would have probably gone with Rohit Sharma, I think.
For the whole tournament?
The whole tournament. Someone at the top of the order for a team that's going to go deep.
Well, they're all going to play 9 games.
Yes, but 11 could be the difference. And Pakistan have had one abandoned already. Don't forget. I'm toast. He's got 58 runs in 4 matches. It's not happening.
You are toast. Is there one for bowlers, or is there only batsmen?
No, weirdly. I don't know why there wasn't one for bowlers. That's disappointing. Babar Azam has strode to the crease. 3 slips in place, a third man, a long leg, backward point, a sort of close mid-off come
and
extra
the back
cover.
pads coming in. They're bringing it.
Oh, this is fun.
I